Okay, welcome to another episode of Look What Just Found. We're going to take a look at what's going on today, Thursday, April 4th. So, gold is down, silver is down, platinum is down, and palladium is up. NASDAQ is up, Dow Jones is down, S&P 500 is up. In the US, in Europe, everything is up. Asia, up, down, up. All right, so we got some turmoil in the market this morning. I know that Jerome Powell made a message yesterday that was a little bit, from my understanding, a little bit wasn't so bullish. Let's just put it like that. And what do we have for news today? Gold sees technical selling pressure as weekly jobless claims rise to a 9-week high. Okay, well that's kind of weird. People have become, well, I guess, see, and this is why nobody knows what's going to happen with the market. If things are getting worse in the economy, gold should be going up. But things are getting worse in the economy and gold goes down. That doesn't make sense. But an analyst, an analyst, I was going to say an analyst, an analyst would understand how jobless claims affects the economy, but to me, gold should react differently than other aspects of the economy, and it should get stronger when the economy gets weaker. But like I said, an analyst would probably understand why, or would probably have a reason why, and I still think they're all wrong. Well, let's look at it. The gold market continues to test initial support at 2300. 2300 is not a support. How if it just hit $2,300? So I would never consider $2,300 support. It barely touched it. It barely scratched 2300. Now, and again, this is where people might disagree with me, but a support is is when you can look at a historic amount of time. And again, what are you going to consider the support? That's a very good question. There's no clear rule telling what constitutes a significant move. Some use 3% as a benchmark in case of important supports and 1% in the short-term ones. Okay, so there's but if you're going to say there's a short-term support, then you really need to identify that specifically in your article. I'm just saying, I'm going by what I'm reading here, because I don't see a support as being short term. That's a blip. What is the support and resistance for gold and silver? Support at R's 70,000. The price of MCX gold has consistently found buying interest, leading to reversals in price direction. Resistance, conversely, at 76,000 MCX, silver has faced selling pressure, resulting in price reversals. Right. So on a reversal, you want to be able to show that that whatever you're saying is the support. It's very difficult to break through that on a reversal. So how can 23 how could a 2300 be a support if it just hit there? Um, that doesn't make any sense. So you really need to understand charts. They do not do this in on other channels. They show you a chart, they tell you what's what, and you have to eat it up. And there's no way the average person understands what they're talking about, especially if you own zero to little precious metals and you're trying to understand it, right? So I'm like, I'm somewhere in between. Um, that that range, right? Which is good for the average person. Now, where what happens with me though on my channel is a very small select group of people who have a lot of knowledge will correct me, and that's fine. And there's a saying about those. Oh my God, I have to look it up now. What is it? Those that can do, those that can't teach. Those who can do, those who can't teach. Okay, so I actually said it correctly. I can't believe I actually remember that. The brain cells are firing on all cylinders this morning. Good coffee. I got the salty caramel um, Dunkin' Donuts creamer in the coffee. So I do, but I also teach, and I think that's what makes me different than a lot of other people, and it probably has to do with again my background as a social worker, working with people, and as a counselor, which really counselor, sensei, teacher, very very similar. I'm not going to say rabbi means teacher. Also, I think that's a literal translation of rabbi as teacher, right? I don't know how to spell it. Oh, two B's, right? Yeah, rabbi means teacher. No, I'm not a rabbi. I'm not Jewish either. Even if I was Jewish, I wouldn't be a rabbi. I'm just saying. So a support needs to be. You need to have ample amount of time. So let's see. We got March, very short. That's not, to me. That's not a support. A support would be would be for a long period of time. This would be a support. 2,000. Let's call it $2,000, right? Because you can see the line there, right? The line supports the rest of the chart, and they don't. If they break through 2,000, under 2,000 here, if the resistance breaks through 2,000, it's only a couple times. So I would still say this, and then it pops back up. So 2,000 is the support, in my opinion, between November 24th, 2023, and March 1st, 2024. And then as of March 1st, it jumped up to almost 2200 in a couple weeks. And then this then and then maybe you can see this as the new support at 2160, 2150. But to call 2300 the support, there's no historical demonstration of 2300 being a support. So why would they say it? Why would they say it? I'm talking to you, and as I'm talking to you, I'm figuring it out. To sell gold. It's actually gold is under 2300, so already broke below 2300. So to sell gold, this website sells gold. I just like that chart. I like Kitco because of this chart here that with the roller on your mouse, you can go back and forth to illustrate and to look at what the supports are. So gold may drop back down to 20. According to me, gold can drop back down to 2100 because that's the support. Will it? Probably not. It's more likely to go to 2500 than it is, 2100. But the support is not 2300 according to me. The support is 2100. So, and this is what's going on. And then I also like Kitco that they put in some news. So on a daily basis you could read something. What's going on? Why would any of this matter to you? I went into it a little bit in yesterday's video because you might want to buy small amounts. If they go on sale, if there's a dip in the prices, you might want to buy one Silver Eagle a week, for example. And by the end of the year, you'd have 52 of them. That's great. That's almost, let's call it 60. Then that's three rolls of 20. The person who buys one, the tortoise, the tortoise wins the race, right? Somebody who, if I would have bought one Silver Eagle a week for the past year, I would have bought more silver than I actually purchased in the past year. In the past year, I bought two 20 roll Silver Eagles. I bought one a week ago, or a week and a half ago, and then I bought one I think like 6 months ago or something like that, or 8 months ago, and I think before that was over a year. So I bought 40. So if I would have bought one a day, even at 52, I would have bought more than now. The reason I don't do that is because I know I'm going to buy a roll and I'm going to save money on the roll versus buying them individually. So that's the reason I do that. But if I was never going to buy a roll, then I would not have had any silver for the past year. If it wasn't for the fact that I knew I was going to buy rolls, I'm saying. Even if you buy one a month, you'd have 12. Or you bought one every 3 weeks, you'd have 20. You'd have a roll. And you'd be right there with other people. So, jobless claims rise for the 9th week. So what does that mean? It's bad news for the economy, is what it means. Gold market continues to test initial support. Initial support. Okay, if they want to call that, it's really an initial high, right? Because it already came down below that. at 2,300 an ounce, not attracting any new bullish movement, even as the U.S. labor market shows signs of weakening. Initial claims for state unemployment benefits increased by 9,000 to a seasonally adjusted 221,000 for the week ending March 30th, the Labor Department said Thursday. The unemployment data was weaker than expected according to consensus estimates. Consensus, not census. Okay. Economists had forecast to remain relatively steady at 212,000. The previous week claims were revised up slightly to 212,000. Weekly jobless claims have risen to the highest level since early February. The gold market is not seeing much reaction to the latest unemployment data. June gold last traded at 2,300, $4.90 an ounce, down 40.44% of a percent on the day. According to some analysis, gold price action is not surprising. The precious metal is seeing some technical selling pressure after hitting a fresh all-time high. Oh, it hit 23.24. I didn't see that. My understanding is that like overnight in other countries, especially China, there'll be a lot of buying and there'll be a lot of movement or purchasing and selling, purchasing, and that will raise the price on the overnight. And then here in the States, in the morning there'll be a drop, and then for some reason in the afternoon. And I think so. This is something I haven't seen this before in all these years, and I think it's because the central banks in other countries, I have not heard of them buying this amount of gold in ever since I started stacking gold and silver. I mean, I'm talking about I could get it. I don't know what the chart would be for that, or even to look for. But I don't remember like central banks or countries buying or selling gold. Buying gold, selling gold. I remember, right? England did that big thing. I want to say that's in the 80s, where they really screwed themselves or tried to decimate their own economy or flood the market with gold. Whatever their intention was, I think it backfired on them because they sold low, and then like a year later, whatever, it went up like three times or something. Right, it went from like whatever it was, $250, then it jumped up to $750 within a year, or two. So that was a huge. If they sold, I don't have the information, but I know that, and I think it was in the 80s, and they sold millions of pounds or millions of tons. I don't think it's millions of tons, millions of pounds. I don't know, whoever, man, I mean, you talk about decimating an economy. They would have had 3x. Right, here we go. We want to look at, let's go to all time. The big jump, the big jump, of course, was here in between '02, right? So we spoke about this before on the channel. Between, let's call it, well, the bottom was '01. 2001, it was when it was $262, and then let's call the support here at $1,000. It jumped up and then it came back down a lot within 4 years. That's a huge drop. Up here, people would have thought this was the support, right? 1,500. You're talking about 2 years of it being at 1,500 for it to drop back down. So these people who were buying up here would have thought this was a support, and it wasn't. The support, well, it dropped back down. That was it. Pressure or decrease in demand dropped gold back down to, let's call the support here at about $1,100. But if whatever bank sold around here at $200-300, irregardless of it being $1,100 support a few years later, I mean, 300 into 1,200 is 4x. I mean, if you gave up, if a country gave up most of its gold, and then within 10 years it went up 4 times, they decimated their economy. Only question is, was that on purpose or not? So here we are at 23, no, a little slightly below 2300, and the question is, I say the support is still, I don't know, it could even be 2000, but I said 2150 before. Okay, so let's end this. Let's wrap this up with finishing up this article about unemployment. The advanced number for seasonal adjusted insured unemployment during the week ending March 23rd was 1.791, a decrease from 19,000 from previous weeks revised. And then, is that the last article for today? Yes. Everything else goes back prior to today. They only put out one article today for the jobless claims. So unemployment, a a factor in the economy and the precious metals, and something has to change for our economy to improve. I know I spoke about, stimulus, but really stimulus is just artificially inflating the economy. We need jobs. We need to The government needs to really step out of the way and let the free market do its thing. And um, this government we have isn't going to do that. That's the bottom line. Um, I think the biggest our government is very large, and governments don't produce anything. They hire workers, which suck. Right? They have to get paid. So it's a huge problem. And if the government workers are a part of the statistic for joblessness, if they weren't, if right, because in Argentina, the new president there, he just fired 70,000 workers because they're sucking um, liquidity out of the market, right? That's money that should be going towards businesses which hire people who produce things which is healthy for the economy. If and that's Argentina. If they can fire 70,000 people, how many people can we fire here in the U.S.? A million? How many government workers can we fire here in the U.S.? A quarter million? What would the unemployment, if they're talking about thousands here. All right, here that would it would double the unemployment number in a quarter million would double the unemployment number instantly if we had a president that did what I know I want to say Chavez for some reason. I know it's not. I think it's Javier, right? But they're not, are they putting their money back into, and that's where the argument comes. Are they putting their money back into the economy? They're not producing anything. They're not producing anything. Yeah, some of it goes back into the economy, but um, I would dare to say that we need people who make stuff so we can sell stuff and become and compete with other countries who are exporting goods, right? Because that's I think that's what we want to do. Okay, so unemployment up, gold down, and I will see you on the next one. Please click like and subscribe. It helps out the channel. Let me know what you think about content like this. Um, I'll be doing my coin. I wish I was gold roll hunting, my coin roll hunting, and I will continue as always. I just want to add this type of analysis and review of what's going on with the economy, especially moving towards the next presidential election and beyond, because this is going to be a very good look at what's going on with the economy as we go into 2025. I want to know. I want to be aware of what's going. I want to know if things are getting better, if there is um, a government change and a change in policy. I want to know. I want to be aware. I want to be cognizant, and that's my plan, is to review what's going on a daily basis or weekly basis as we get closer to that, and then see what happens afterwards. So that's it. Very small, just a nice little way of keeping abreast of what's